So now let's talk about why people can't achieve recomp, the mistakes that people make. Okay, I already said the first one. I let the cat out of the bag. Okay, they focus on trying to do both. They focus on trying to lose fat and gain muscle at the same time. I already talked about why that's a mistake. Okay, number two, people aren't patient enough to get results. Okay, they want to get results extremely fast. Okay, just recently I had somebody who I spoke to who said that he wants to lose about 30, it was almost 40 pounds of fat, and he wants to do it in less than 6 months. Okay. Now, if you want to do that in less than 6 months, if you go all the way back to what we originally talked about, right? 1 pound of fat is what's considered healthy fat loss. Okay. So 40 pounds of fat is about 40 weeks. That's about 10 months. Okay. So it's going to take about 10 months just to lose that amount of body fat. Okay. But then there was also this other thing of, but I also want to gain 40 pounds of muscle. Okay. Well, whoa. And you want to do this all in less than 6 months? That just can't happen. Okay. Now, if I didn't say anything to this person, or if this person tried to do it on their own, they would probably get really upset because they didn't gain 40 pounds of muscle and lose 40 pounds of fat in less than 6 months. Okay. You have to understand there is a time process here, and it takes time. Okay. That's just how it is. So you've got to be patient to get results. But the reason why most people don't achieve recomp is because they're not patient enough to get results. Okay. All right. Now here is a big one that I deal with all the time. This is a big mistake of why people can't achieve body fat loss and increase muscle. In other words, why people can't recomp. Okay. When they are building muscle, they get upset when their fat doesn't go down. Okay. So if you're in that strategy of, you're in that first phase of you're building muscle, okay, and you're working and you're working and you're working, okay, and then you look at your results and you're like, hey, I didn't lose any fat. People get upset about that. Not only do they get upset, they think something's wrong. And they're like starting to get to that point where, hey, you know what? I don't think this is the right program. I don't think this is working. Look, you were focused on building muscle. Why are you judging yourself based on how much fat you lost? Okay. If your focus is on building muscle, then judge yourself based on how much muscle you built. Don't judge it because you didn't lose any fat. Okay. I will tell you, this comes up all the time. If you are in the phase of building muscle, judge yourself based on how much muscle you're building. Don't judge yourself based on how much fat you're losing. Okay. You're not in that phase of losing fat yet. Okay. So truthfully, people get really upset in the muscle building phase when their fat doesn't go down. Okay. Doesn't make any sense. Okay. And vice versa. When people are in a fat loss phase, they get really upset when their muscle doesn't change. Maybe their muscle comes down just a little bit. Okay. And maybe they've been working on losing fat, for 4, 5, 6 months. And they've noticed over the 4, 5, and 6 months, they haven't gained any lean body mass. Right. And they start getting upset about that. Look, if you're trying to lose fat and that's how your program is designed, then judge yourself based on how much fat you're losing. Right. If you want a good fat loss program, will help you lose fat and at worst, maintain your muscle. Okay. Now, again, you might increase it a little bit, but you're not going to increase it by 30 pounds if you're trying to lose 30 pounds of fat. A good fat loss program will focus on maintaining muscle and losing all the fat that you want. Okay. So don't get upset. If you're in the fat loss phase, don't get upset because your lean body mass isn't changing. That's okay. That means it's actually a good program. Okay. Most people, when they try to do their own program and they try to do their own cut, okay, what they always notice is, oh my gosh, my strength went down completely. My energy levels were really low and I lost a lot of muscle, right? Because they cut their calories so low that they lose fat and they lose muscle, right? And they can never achieve that right balance. But a good fat loss program will help you maintain your muscle and make you drop all of that body fat. Okay. So don't get upset when you are in your fat loss process and your muscles staying the same. That's how you know it's working. Okay. All right, cool. Now here's another one. Number 5, people will quit on their recomp, or people will never achieve recomp because they'll have a bad month. Right? Their numbers basically don't really change. Maybe their fat goes up a little bit. Maybe their muscle goes down a little bit. Something happens. They just have a bad month and they're like, oh, you know what? I had a bad month. This is it. This program isn't working. Let me quit. Okay. Progress is not linear, guys. It doesn't just happen like this. If everybody went like this on their progress chart, then, like it would be that easy to understand it, but that's not what happens. Okay. I have a really cool chart that I show people sometimes, a really cool video, and I show somebody who really saw really amazing results with their body fat and their lean body mass. And I show what their chart actually looks like. And what you'll see is you'll see a sharp decline, then you'll see a plateau. Then you see a sharp decline, then you see a plateau. And then sometimes you'll see it go up. You'll see the chart go back up and then they'll plateau. Then you'll see them go down and they plateau. And you see all that, right? Progress is not linear. What you want to see is you want to see the trend line. So just because you have a bad month, it's not a big deal. You just keep going with all, with the ups and downs. Okay. All right, cool. Now, number 6 is, I just talked about it. People just don't understand the process of getting results. They don't understand how their chart should look. They don't really understand that process, right? At the end of the day, it's all about the trend line. If your trend line is showing that you're headed in the right direction, don't get caught up on what's happening week to week or month to month. Okay. Look at the big picture. Okay. Anytime that you're assessing your results, I'm going to give you some secret sauce here. Anytime that you're assessing results, you always want to assess it in 2 ways. Okay. What's happened from today, from last month, okay, or from last month to today, what happened there? And then you take a bigger picture. What happened in the last 6 months, okay, or what happened in the last 3 months, okay? So you always want to look at 1 month to 1 month, and then you take a step back and you look at it about 6 months, okay? Now, this can vary depending on a person, but typically you always want to have those 2 perspectives. What's happened in the last month and what's happened over the last 6 months. That will ultimately help you determine if you're on the right track, okay? All right, so here's another big one, okay? People will come in, they'll get their measurements, they'll get upset. They're like, this should be working faster, right? But they only look at their numbers and determine if it's good or bad, right? They do not take what they have done. They do not take their habits into consideration. They do not take the fact that they went on vacation and they ate like whatever they wanted for 10 days, right? They do not take into consideration that they got sick and they couldn't work out. They couldn't do it, or they were traveling, or whatever the case may be. They don't take those things into consideration. And instead, they just get really upset because they didn't get results. But when you have to look at what you are doing and what you are not doing, okay, if you're only looking at results and you're not looking at how you're actually executing the plan, you're shooting yourself in the foot. It's a matter of time before you quit, because you're going to get so upset of what the numbers are doing, okay? I've said this before, that most of the time when people come in and they want to get these results, we don't really focus on the plan itself, like hitting these certain numbers or hitting this, and that. What we focus on more than anything is, let's get you to get consistent. Let's focus on your habits. Let's get you doing these particular things. And if we can just get your habits moving in the right direction, you will start to get results. But what do most people do? Most people focus on results. They focus on the plan. They focus on being perfect, but they don't focus on how they're actually going to do it. That's what we do as coaches. Our entire coaching program is about habit coaching. How do we get your habits to go there? Okay. So you have to take what you've done and what you are doing into consideration. So when I do this, when I go on vacation for 10 days and eat whatever I want, and I'm not eating my meal prep meals, then this is what happens to my body. Okay. That's how you need to look at it. You don't look at it as, oh, I didn't get good results, so that means everything must suck. No, it means I got these results, and I got these results because this is the way I live my life. Okay, now I understand. When I live my life like this, these are the results I'm going to get. Okay, cool. Now let's change how we live our life so we can get the results that we want. Okay, all right. And the number one reason, the absolute number one reason why people can't achieve recomp is because they don't get consistent with their program. And if you don't get consistent with your program, you're not going to achieve recomp, okay? Now, a bonus thing that people don't do either is they don't take any measurements to start off with. They don't know their starting point. They don't know their end point. They just go based on what they think. That's a bonus point, but hopefully after we went through the session, you understand the importance of doing that, and you cannot achieve recomp without doing that. Okay. So don't make that cardinal sin of doing that. Okay. But the number one reason why people never achieve recomp is because they don't get consistent with their program.